Kalita. He is associate professor from Department of Zoology, Assam, Don Bosco University, India. The area of expertise is fish taxonomy, fishing communities and indigenous traditional knowledge, man-animal interactions, wildlife conservation, aquatic biodiversity, and economic zoology. And Dr. Kalika has published more than 28 different articles, books, and book chapters. And he's gonna talk today on dangers to wildlife. I think these topics will be very useful as well as interesting. Yes, Dr. Kalika, you can go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So we are all from different parts of the globe, and we are in different time zones. So whoever is wherever, accordingly, you please take my salutation. I hope I am audible. Is it clear? The line is clear?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Thank you very much, sir. So can I share my screen for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, let me try. Is it visible, the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. So a warm welcome to my presentation, Honorable Chairperson of the session, Honorable members of the organizing committee from the grassroots institution, from all the other partner institutions, including the academia and the other research institutes and non-academic institutions. And last, but the most importantly, all the delegates from all other institutions across the world. So we are going to talk about today mostly the dangers to wildlife in the mountain areas. So this is a very, very burning topic everywhere in all the mountain regions. And I would try to restrict to with examples from mostly the Eastern Himalayan region, because that's where I work and most of my experiences are relevant to this area only. But I'm sure most of the issues are very common all across the mountain regions. So when we talk about the mountain wildlife, we need to first understand the micro habitats in it. So it's like when we say mountain, it is not one uniform type of habitat. Like when we say grassland ecosystem, of course, it is very similar in all grasslands. There may be some minor differences, but not a very drastic difference like the mountains. But if you say mountain wildlife, so just to be able to relate to them, we need to first understand what are the different kind of micro habitats within the mountains. So if you like, I would like to show this first photograph, which I have taken from aircraft. And this is where I'm showing the Kanchenjunga range of the Eastern Himalayas. And here you can see the first layer. The top layer is the snow-clad peaks, and then just underneath it are the glaciers, which are not visible mostly because of the cloud cover in this photograph, but that's where the glaciers are. And then the alpine meadow is there, then subalpine meadow is there, then coniferous forest will come, then deciduous broadleaf forest will come. If you come to the next photograph, which I have taken from the bottom of the, like from the ground level of a mountain. Now here you can also see the coniferous forest right on the top side of the photograph. The above snow-clad part is not available in this photograph because of the cloud cover. And then the deciduous broadleaf forest is of course visible. Then evergreen subtropical forest is there, sub-equatorial forest is there. And then riparian forest, that is another very important forest type in the mountains. So through the river course like this, all the mountain rivers which are very high in the water velocity, and very rich in the diversity because of the mineral richness of the water, because of the different type of vegetation around it, and because of the moist soil type. The vegetation cover around these rivers are also very rich. So this offers a very beautiful environment for different kind of wildlife to survive there. So when I'm referring to wildlife, most of my talk will be related to animals. Of course, wildlife also includes the plants and microorganisms. Now, if you look at what type of mountain animals we get and what kind of dangers they face, so I need to present some of these photographs. Now, many of these are my own photograph, but some of these I have taken from some of my friends. Like the snow leopard you get in the snow-clad areas towards the peak of the mountain. Then just at a layer below that, you get the pandas. And then clouded leopard will be at the lesser part of the mountains. Himalayan black bear are moving across the altitude, so you get to see black bears or even the slot bears in different altitudes. Asian elephant is also similar. They climb very high in the mountain ranges, but they also come down to the ground level. So it is the kind of diversity is enormous because the altitudinal variation is different. The temperature variation is very enormous. The vegetation pattern is quite diverse. So depending on all those factors, the diversity of animal is also extremely rich in mountain areas. Then if you come to the birds, these are some of the very important birds that we get to see. The Bugun leocichla is a very small bird, but one of the most it's a superstar kind of bird, and many people actually have fancy about it. Most of the bird watcher. Then Himalayan monal, then blood fusion, then black low teeth, then Himalayan griffon vulture, which is one of the most rare birds nowadays. Himalayan quail, then white-bellied heron, which is another very rare bird, and very rarely you get to see these birds nowadays. Then the Himalayan thrush is there. So all these birds are quite typical to different like altitudinal zones of mountains. So they are not all available in all types of mountains and at all altitudes. So they have got their own type of niche. Then coming to the herpetofauna again, this I'm showing here Himalayan crate, then king cobra, then this mountain pit viper, Himalayan mountain lizard, Himalayan mountain frog, then Dattaphrynus himalayanus. So all these kind of reptiles or herpetofauna are also quite typical to the mountains, and their home ranges are also quite variable. They range from higher altitude to mid ranges to the foothills. So this kind of diversity is very fascinating. Then coming to the aquatic bodies, the water diversity, because of the snow melt water, so it offers cold water. So due to the cold water, there are many cold water fishes which are available. And in the rivers, because the water velocity is extremely high, so what happens, you get to see fishes with spatial kind of adaptation, like white cloud minnow, then Himalayan trout, and this golden mahshir. These are mostly fishes which are available only in the cold water areas. So they are not available in warm water water bodies. So these are quite kind of typical and quite, you can say, endemic to only mountain kind of water bodies. Then if you go to the loaches and suckers, there are so many different varieties, including the Gara group and like many other Cystosoma and all. They have got spatial adaptation to survive in high velocity water. So these animals, they are mostly like sucking to the surface of the high flowing or fast moving water bodies on rocks or on other like bed of the river. So then this Silosorax researchoni is also available only in the cold water areas, but they also come down to quite a considerable like warm temperature. Then coming to the invertebrates, in one slide, I try to sum up many of the groups because it's not possible to really cover the whole biodiversity of mountains. Say in butterflies, you get to see many different varieties of butterflies in the mountain areas. Then spiders, then different type of insect, and many other like invertebrate fauna you get to see, which are quite fascinating and quite kind of native to the mountain areas only. Then coming to the flora, the plants, the Himalayan blue poppy is quite famous, and it is available only at a particular altitude. So they are not found below a certain altitude. Similarly, the rhododendrons are also found only like above a particular altitude. So these are like typical kind of flowers or typical kind of plants. There are so many medicinal plant varieties which are available in the mountains. So mountain is very rich in the floral diversity, and it offers a whole lot of like nature's laboratory for the researchers, and also a very important kind of aspect for conservation. Now coming to the dangers to them, now we need to understand certain things which are natural danger and certain things which are kind of man-made type. Now in this photograph or slide, I have tried to portray 4 different types of natural calamities which are inevitable, but which are also having a very like important aspect when it comes to study of danger to wildlife. Now, snowstorm is something where sometime for a week, for 10 days, for 15 days, we get to see snowstorm, and everything is snow clad and no food available for the animals there. They starve. They're not getting water, so they many a time many animals even die because of snowstorm. And also the whole like the snow load itself sometimes becomes killer. Then avalanches. So avalanche is a typical phenomenon. Those who are associated with mountain, you already know, and those who are kind of new to this ecosystem and joining this workshop for the first time. So avalanche is a phenomenon where suddenly a huge block of like ice from the snow-clad part of the mountain comes down, and because of that suddenness, animals cannot prepare to move from that area, and they get trapped under the snow and they are killed. Landslide is also very similar. This is in place of snow, the land is or soil is coming down. So landslide is also a very common phenomenon, especially in the young mountains, especially in the Himalayan areas where the mountain is not mature and the soil type is very loose, the rainfall amount is high. So in those kind of areas, this is an extreme kind of a danger to wildlife. Sometimes a huge area, maybe a kilometer or maybe even more than that, just simply slides down and wash away the whole population of animal in that area, and animals are buried inside the debris. Then cloudburst is a phenomenon where you get sudden rainfall, and water from the higher altitude of the river comes in a flush, and it's such a high speed or such a high velocity that it wash away everything. So like even it can sometimes wash away a portion of the river also. So those are like phenomenon which are not in our control, which are natural, but at the same time very dangerous to the animal population as well as for human beings also. Now another aspect is disease. Now, many diseases because of climate change or because of human kind of proximity nowadays, many diseases are coming to the wild population of animals. Anthrax and other kind of animals like animal diseases have been reported from many protected areas even because they are kind of transmittable and they can be like contaminated. So that's how some of the diseases, they sometimes take the form of even epidemic or killer to animals. Then one very typical phenomenon happened just a few months ago in the lesser Himalayas, in the eastern part of the Himalayas, which is a thunderbolt. And it's like thunderbolt is something very common, but how does it become killer? Now, what happened in a particular like mountain, uh, because of the human activity, all the trees were already cut off and elephant herds were moving there. Suddenly, there was a like storm kind of situation, and there was a thunderbolt. So, as there was no tall tree, so the electric current produced in the thunderbolt, it directly struck the elephant herd, and all the elephants were keeping together. So the electricity passed through all their bodies, and ultimately, in the same thunderbolt, several elephants died. So these photographs are from that incident. It happened very near to the place where I work. And this is unfortunate that we are kind of cutting the trees. We are robbing the habitat from all these giant animals, and they are like kind of forced to die. So although these are natural calamities, but there is a human link to it. So we need to understand that aspect. Now, coming to another phenomenon, which is the competition. Now, competition can be interspecific, competition can also be intraspecific. In interspecific competition, we get to see like animals try to compete with other species for food. They compete for space because they need the habitat for themselves. They need the whole area for themselves, for water and for other purposes. So there are competitions and there are fights between the different species. But we also see in case of the same species, there are intraspecific kind of fights also. There are fights for food, there are fights for water, for space, and also for the mate. So during the breeding season, because of the different kind of human intervention and different other dangers, maybe say for example, the male population of say the water buffalo is reducing, then what will happen? There are like competition between the existing male population, and they try to kind of fight. So that kind of situation happens even within a species also. So this is also sometimes proven to be fatal for the animals. Then coming to the direct human actions, like other actions that I have already described has got, of course, indirect human kind of influences, but these are actions which are directly like human actions and directly affecting animals. One is deforestation. So we are directly cutting the trees and robbing the habitat from them. Then unplanned tourism development and littering and throwing of garbages everywhere. So this is happening in many tourist locations, and this is ultimately resulting in a fatal condition for animals in many situations. Then expansion of human habitation, we are invading into the like animal territory. We are kind of going into areas which used to be originally animal habitat. So that is resulting into man-animal conflict. Then hunting, poaching, and trafficking of wild animals. That is another very, very serious kind of problem globally. You can see the left photograph I took in Bangkok in a open market. They are selling these butterflies. These are all from Himalayan region, not originally from Thailand, but somehow smuggled. So this smuggling of different kind of wildlife from the habitat is, or mountain habitats, is also like evident now. And killing of birds for food or for selling in the market, this is also quite evident. Killing of like elephant for tusk, killing of different animals for the skin, for bone, for the teeth of tigers. So all those things are also quite rampant, and quite often we see the customs department nabbing the culprit in the airports and all. Now, other aspect is the developmental activities. If you see the hydroelectric projects, I have shown here one hydroelectric project in the Himalayan region. Now, here you can see the downstream of the dam, it's completely dried out. Now, as a result, the vegetation is also drying up gradually. So this impacts not only the fish population, but also the habitat, the birds, their nesting pattern, and the entire ecosystem gradually suffers. So this is what is happening in most of the mountain areas, because hydroelectricity is something where many governments, but especially in the developing countries, are focusing, and it is resulting into a huge problem in many parts, especially in the Himalayas. We are witnessing it. Then construction of roads, construction of airports, construction of industries. So all these are actually kind of cutting trees, clearing primary forests and converting primary forests into human activity areas. So that is also leading to human-elephant conflicts. Then open cast mining. Now you can see one mine photograph here. This is from an area in the Lesser Himalayas, which is just next to the wildlife sanctuary. So elephants used to live in this area. Now it is converted to a open cast mining because government wants to get money. They wants to generate revenue out of it, but the animals are in danger. Then in the bottom photograph, you can see a herd of elephant. They are completely in a dilemma. Like behind them, there is still a virgin forest available, but in front of them, it's a planted tea garden. Now, human beings are gradually invading into the forest, invading into their territory, and they are completely challenged. So they are also in a position where now they are kind of retaliating back. Then the high voltage electric lines are also like taken through the mountain areas most of the time, because plains human beings face problems, so they normally carry through the mountains. And as a result, during the elephant movement or during the movement of larger animals, many a time electrocutions are happening. So different defense establishments are also established in mountain areas because of the border dispute and other problems. So those are definitely leading to danger to wildlife. Then this is like a impending killer, climate change. So the glaciers in most of the mountain areas are now melting across the globe. We know that we already have an average more than 1 degree raise of temperature globally. Then because of this phenomenon, it is affecting all the mountain lakes. All the smaller lakes are already disappearing. The larger lakes are also shrinking gradually. And then there are many rivers where those used to be earlier a kind of perennial river, and now those have become seasonal river. Only during the rains you get water in those river, otherwise they get dried up. So gradually they are in a process of dying. So if the river dies, all the wild animals in the river, all the aquatic animals living in the river also automatically die. Then because of this whole global climate change, there is a changing disease pattern in the mountain regions, not only for the human beings, even for animals. So this is a big challenge for all of us, even for the veterinarians. And then if you look at the tree lines, so earlier you used to get a certain type of tree at a certain altitude. Now, because the temperature is changing, and gradually the global temperature is warming up, so some of these trees which are temperature specific, those are gradually going up. So they were probably earlier seen only at the altitude of say 3000 meter. Now they are growing at 4000 meter also. So gradually the tree line is going up because of this particular phenomenon. Similarly, some of the pests which earlier used to be probably only living in the plains or in the foothills, they are also gradually invading up and up because of the temperature change. So this is what is challenging. Like recently, many of you may be already knowing that walnut production in the eastern Himalayas, especially in Sikkim and Nepal and all those areas, have suffered a lot because of the infestation of a particular type of pest, which earlier was not there in those areas. And those pests are now gradually invading into those areas because of the change in the global temperature. So this is also something which is proving to be killer for the wild animals. So with this, I think I have almost come to the end of my presentation because the time is also almost up. I think only 1 minute left. So I'm happy that I have been able to finish within the time. Over to you, Joshi sir.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kalita. You finished on time, and your presentation is very informative, and it's very clear. The first you show how beautifully the mountain is. So many beautiful animals, birds, insects. It's very attractive, but they all are in dangers. And you mentioned the three major the dangers that are natural, competitions, and we all human.
Yeah.
And we also learning how we can minimize this danger. And this really very wonderful, Dr. Kalita, and I appreciate your time and effort. And I expect all the participants have a good learnings, and even they can apply or they can think about or they can do some research regarding with this your issue or your topics or your highlight. Thanks once again, Dr.
Thank you,
Kalita.
sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Now, I would like